What is up, everybody? Welcome to Outside the Cage UFC 304 recap. Not a great recap for you in store. We got a new champion, middleweight division, or welterweight division. Sorry, I'm thinking of the middleweight division now. I'm thinking of my guy Izzy.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah,
I'll tip my cap to him. Great fucking performance from Bilal Muhammad, man. Showed up and just did exactly like in the second or third round. I was telling my friends because I was watching with some homies that don't watch too much UFC. And I was telling them, this is exactly how Bilal would have wanted this fight to play out. If he could have dreamed it up in any way besides like some crazy knockout, obviously, this is exactly what Bilal would have wanted. It was just crazy to see. I know you were invested in Leon, so what are your thoughts, feelings?
Yeah, I was heavily invested in Leon. One of the biggest, I think, not the biggest upset, but biggest shock for me, just like betting wise. Like I thought this was a no-brainer. But again, so I knew right away. I knew the first takedown that it was over.
Just the way it happened and how easily he got it.
Yeah, I knew right away. I told Derek, I was like, bro, it's over. That's too easy. And it's the same thing that I said reverse of that with Sugar and Aljo. When Aljo shot early but didn't get him down and Sugar kind of held him up. And I was like, okay, Aljo couldn't get it easy. We're fine. But when you see it that easy, you just know, bro. And I just fucking knew it. I knew it was over.
Man, when Bilal spiked Leon on his head, I wonder if that's going to have any long-term effects on Leon's career, because that seemed like something that could really mess up your neck or back or something important, because Leon got slammed directly on his head. I think it was in the second round. I was like, wow, that could not have felt good. But what was most shocking to me, more than the takedowns, was just how easy Leon was surrendering the space in the octagon, I guess you could say. He was just submitting himself to the cage every single round. Bilal would just walk him down. Bilal would get the center of the octagon, and Leon was up against the cage, and Bilal would mix it up a little bit, throw a couple boxing combos, and then shoot. And then that was the round.
Did Leon fight like a sluggish, bad fight, kind of like how Izzy said for Sean Strickland, he just felt like he was stuck in mud, or was Bilal just better?
I mean, that night, Bilal was 1,000% just better, but Leon definitely did not look like himself. But also, I mean, Bilal did a great job of kind of eliminating Leon's kicks or taking them out of the equation. He was just so close. Leon wasn't even in kicking range that much. There was maybe one or two good body kicks that I could remember him landing, and Bilal was seeing the head kicks from a mile away. So, I mean, I think it was, I don't want to say a masterclass by Bilal, but I mean, shit, damn near, dude. The way that he eliminated Leon's best weapon, his kicks, won the boxing exchanges, and then got the fight to where he wanted it to be. It was impressive. It's not what I wanted to happen, but
yeah, it's so weird, bro. Like, it's weird now in my mind, and this is what I said before we went on air, and I wanted to ask you is like, how do you view Leon as a champion?
It's a weird one because he defended against two guys that are considered out of their prime when he fought them. The first Kamaru Usman fight when he won the belt, obviously incredible. Then the second Usman fight, one was kind of an iffy decision. Colby fight, felt like neither of them really won that fight, but I guess Leon did what he needed to in that one. And then here he loses to Bilal. It kind of sucks. We never got to see him in a pure striking matchup for the title, against another guy that would have stood up with him. We never got to see the full arsenal on display. And one thing that stood out,
it's just so weird. Go ahead.
Yeah. What stood out to me, you remember when he won the belt in that Salt Lake City fight, it was going pretty similar to this Bilal fight up until the head kick landed. He said he was stuck in the mud. The altitude felt sluggish the whole night. Kind of the same thing he said fighting at 3 a.m. So I don't know. It kind of seems like whenever everything isn't perfectly set up for Leon, he drops off pretty considerably.
So now that you mentioned the head kick, I thought about another way to look at this. Call it what you want. The head kick was lucky.
It's tough because it was a great combo. Like, he got Usman to react, but the fact that it
Okay,
landed,
well,
I'm sure it
you're
wasn't
losing.
a high percentage chance. If he throws that 10 times, it probably lands
Yeah,
once or twice. So, yeah, I
you're
get you there.
losing 4 rounds. You get a knockout in the 5th, so he had
It's
a
a very
low
low
percent chance of winning
probability
that fight.
thing.
Yeah, and then I guess yes, the Usman second win was big. It was kind of a clinic, and then you fought Colby Covington, who's I'm not a fan of as far as talent wise. And then, I mean, I just look at Leon differently now, bro.
It's crazy how one night can do that to a fighter. It's what makes this the
But it's
best sport
crazy
in the
also how
world.
like one night makes you look back at the reasons he got to this night and like
Yeah.
how he got to this night. That's what I'm like thinking back of now, not just the like how the one night affected it, but now I'm looking back at that one night, how I look at the other nights now.
Starts to snowball a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you look at the guys that Bilal has beaten compared to the guys that Leon's beat, it's pretty damn similar. I mean, let me pull up Bilal's Tapology here, but he has wins over Wonderboy, Gilbert Burns, Sean Brady, Leon Edwards now. Let me see who else he has in the last few years. Those are the ones that Vicente Luque, back when Luque was more of a guy, Damian Maia. And it's not like Edwards, cleared out the division like Adesanya did with middleweight, or, beat everyone before he got to the title shot. So, yeah, man. I mean, I'd say Leon was a good champ. What letter grade would you give it if you're grading, F through A?
It's hard because I looked at him in the short run as like a dominant champion. I don't know why. Like, did it come off to you like that? Like he was a dominant champion?
A little bit. I mean, he was a solid favorite in every fight that he had when he was the champ. So that kind of shows how everyone else was viewing him as well. I don't know if I would say dominant. I never put him on the Volkanovski, Usman, Adesanya tier when they were all doing their thing.
Maybe I thought he was just headed that way. How do you view today? How do you view Kamaru Usman? Like right now, currently?
Second best welterweight of all time. But you mean in the current state of things?
In the time that Leon beat him the second time.
Yeah, it's hard because he's only fought once, and it was on 2-week notice or 10 days notice against Hamzat. So we haven't really gotten to see a Kamaru Usman on a full camp. Welterweight's interesting right now. I'd say there's 5 guys that have a argument for that title. I'd say Kamaru, Shavkat, JDM. Got to throw Ian Gary in there. So, I mean, those 4, realistically, I don't really think Colby deserves a shot, and I don't really think Leon deserves an immediate rematch. I believe Dana said they weren't going to go in that direction, so that's why I didn't throw their 2 names in there.
I think a lot of how you view Leon as a champion has a lot to do with how you view Kamaru in the current state. Because
like
if you
what
think
Kamaru did he beat?
if you think Kamaru is still elite currently, then those 2 big wins versus I don't want to say I don't count the first one, but the second one was more of a real win than the first one. So how do you view Kamaru in that second win that Leon beat him? That's big because if you don't view Kamaru in the same way that you viewed him 2-3 years ago, then you look at it, and if you're looking at it, you're like, Kamaru is past his prime, he's washed. He beat a washed Kamaru and a washed Colby Covington and lost to someone in his prime, Bilal Muhammad.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to look at it. I would say that maybe Kamaru Usman will be better in his next fight than he was in that second fight against Leon, because that was the first fight coming back since getting knocked out for Kamaru. So there's obviously those unanswered questions in there. The last time that he was in the cage was with the same guy, and he got knocked out in one of the most famous knockouts of all time. So I think a little bit of that had to be subconsciously going into Usman's performance in that second fight. So it's really just, it depends on what he looks like when he comes back. I think there's a chance that he's still pretty similar to that guy from Usman Edwards 1. But
yeah, and I mean, I value that performance versus Hamzat a lot. If anything, I think Kamaru is really good in that. Again, it just depends on how you, I don't really know and I'm not saying it's fair or not, but I think how you view Kamaru has a lot to do with how you view Leon Burns as the champion. again, I looked at Leon as a dominant champion for whatever reason it was. I don't know what it was, but I just did. Maybe I was counting this Bilal win, and then I didn't think anyone else can beat him after this. But yeah, man, it was weird. It was a letdown for sure.
Dude, imagine how brutal that must have been for the crowd. Everyone there that had been staying all the way till 4 a.m, tired, probably don't even feel like drinking anymore, probably just want to go home and go to sleep. And then you got to watch your guy get wrestled for 5 rounds by Bilal Muhammad. I'm surprised stuff wasn't thrown. I really am. I'll be honest. My prediction was wrong. So if you had the magic wand, what would you do next at welterweight in terms of either a title eliminator or who fights Bilal next? Has anyone earned it, or does there need to be a title eliminator?
Is Leon a rematch out the question?
I kind of think it is right now. I don't think anyone really wants to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how soon does Usman get a shot?
Yeah, I don't know. Does he get the title shot, or does he have to fight somebody else now coming off of 2 losses?
He definitely has to fight someone else, but is Usman like in a title eliminator? And if so, versus who?
Yeah, I'd say Usman has to be in a title eliminator. I think
is it Usman, Ian Gary, and Bilal and Shavkat?
You could do that. I was thinking you could even you throw Usman, Shavkat, Jack Dela, and Ian Gary all on the same card somewhat soon. Have 2 of them fight, 2 of them. And then whoever has the most impressive performance that night gets the title shot.
Yeah. It's weird, bro. It's definitely weird. I don't know what to make of it or what to think.
I would say right now.
It just wasn't supposed to happen. So it's like we don't know what's next.
I kind of think Shavkat has the best argument for a title shot right now, just because he's fresh, he's undefeated. Every single win has been a finish, so this guy has a lot of hype. Obviously, with his best wins being Stephen Thompson and Jeff Neal, he doesn't quite have the resume to deserve a title shot yet. But if Ian Gary, JDM, or Kamaru doesn't want to fight Shavkat, I would not be mad at seeing Shavkat versus Bilal for the title.
I don't like that, bro, for some reason.
Just two Russian guys, 2 of those names.
Not even that. It just doesn't give me the chills, bro. I don't know why.
It's hard to find anything with Bilal that's going to give you chills, though.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah. It just fucked up a lot of things, bro.
Yeah. It's also what makes this sport great at the same time, though, because you can't count your chickens before they hatch or whatever that is.
And I don't want to take anything away from Bilal. He called this shot. He wanted this. He said what he was going to do, and he did it. So shout to Bilal.
Yeah. It's just not what we wanted to see.
Yeah.
So moving on to the co-main, Tom Aspinall. Holy shit. This guy is just ridiculous. Does it again with a 1-2 that, I mean, it didn't really even look like anything landed that flush. But it dropped Curtis Blades, and then some people were saying it was an early stoppage. Personally, I think there wasn't really much room for Blades to go. Maybe he wasn't out yet, but it wasn't going anywhere in the right direction for Curtis. What's your take on that fight? And I mean, we'll talk heavyweights after. You could talk about that for years. But
I mean, Aspinall's who we think he is at currently. He's just one of those guys where I don't know. Like we said when we came on the pre-show and I was making my bets, like until he doesn't beat someone in the first round, I'm going to keep betting on him to win the first round.
Shit's crazy, dude.
Have we seen this dominant, and not just like winning, because John Jones, Stipe were dominant and Daniel Cormier were dominant, like getting wins, but have we seen someone this dominant as far as first round stoppages in the heavyweight division in a long time?
I would say Francis up until he lost to Stipe in the first fight. Okay. From his bad Derek Lewis fight until Stipe, it was pretty. And Francis was doing it more violently too, so maybe they weren't all in the first round, but his were just different.
But also to his defense, in Tom's fights, they've all been in title fights majority.
Yeah, that's true. Better competition for sure.
Yeah, not even. I wouldn't even say. I mean, you can say competition, but it's a bigger stage.
Yeah, because Francis wasn't really super well known for the first half of his UFC career, I guess you could say, or the first quarter at least. You see, Francis went on Joe Rogan again. I haven't listened to it yet, but I want to.
No, I've been listening to Joe Rogan and who is it?
Rampage?
Michael Malice. A lot of election conspiracies going on, so I've been listening to that. Yeah, good one to listen to. Yeah.
Oh, but obviously we know that John Jones and Stipe and Dana are kind of putting a clog in the whole heavyweight division. I think we both don't really know why that's still what Dana wants to do and what the UFC wants to do. If you had one guess, what would you say? Is it some crazy thing that we wouldn't even be imagining? Because at this point, it's not really logical.
What can be crazy about it? The only thing that's if they think people really want to see Stipe and John, and at this point, I'd rather see John and Tom Aspinall. If you asked me 2 fights ago, like, yeah, let's just see John and Stipe because I don't really know who Aspinall is. I mean, I know who Aspinall is, but I don't know like if he's a great yet. But now I think Aspinall's a great, so I think that's a bigger fight.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Everyone says it. I haven't heard too many people vouching for John and Stipe being a more meaningful and bigger fight.
Does John not want to fight Aspinall?
That's kind of what it's looking like.
He has a lot because if you look at that fight, Tom Aspinall has nothing to lose. John has everything to lose, and John knows he's going to steamroll Stipe.
Yeah, but if John beats Aspinall, dude, that would just put him in a much.
But this is what I'm saying. If you're John Jones, how many fights or how many times do I have to beat guys to where like, oh, if he beats this guy, he's the GOAT? How many times has he done that? We said that versus Cyril Gahn. He beats Cyril Gahn, he's the GOAT. He becomes heavyweight champion, he's the GOAT. So if you're John Jones, like, now I gotta beat this guy to be the GOAT, like I'm already the fucking GOAT.
It's like Brady getting 7 in Tampa.
Yeah, like fuck. Like I mean, I understand what you're saying. Like, yeah, if he beats Tom, but if he beats how you view John Jones right now, if he beats Tom Aspinall, do you view him? How much more differently do you view him? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, where is John Jones as far as greatness and GOAT status right now?
I mean, he's already at a 9.5, I would say. I don't want to give anyone
so he beats Tom, he goes up half a number?
9.8.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, if you're John Jones, like, why?
Dude, I mean, there's a feeling in everyone's head when John beat Cyril Gahn, that wasn't for the true baddest man on the planet because Francis Ngannou was still out there lurking, and everyone knows.
My thing is this. You can't, there's always going to be someone next. At the time, it was Cyril Gahn. He was the guy. I was a big fan of Cyril Gahn. So you can't say, like, now, fast forward a year later, oh, well, now Tom's the champion, so you got to beat Tom now to be the GOAT. He's the real baddest motherfucker. Like, that's not.
I feel like
at the time when John was ready to fight heavyweight, it was Cyril Gahn.
But, I mean, Cyril was coming off of a loss to Francis. So it's not like Cyril was the baddest man on the planet. And then so it's like, yes, John would have 2 heavyweight title wins, but neither of them were against the guy at the time who everyone considered to be the hardest fight. Because when John fought Cyril that first time, everyone would have said Francis is a harder fight, even though he wasn't in the UFC. And then right now, John's going to fight Stipe, and everyone's saying that Aspinall would be the harder fight. So on paper, 100%, this looks amazing for John either way. But I don't know. For the real sickos out there, it would just be a lot more nuts if John were to beat Aspinall than Stipe.
Like, I understand. Like, yes, I want to see John and Tom. I do. But from John's perspective and trying to, like, take my feelings out of it, like, how many times do I got to beat somebody? So he beats Tom Aspinall, then who's the next guy we have to beat?
Yeah, I mean, after Tom, no one's asking for anything. There's no one right now in heavyweight that's close to Tom.
Would you rather see, if I had to give you, I say, okay, you can pick one fight right now to watch and to make happen right now. You get to press a button. John and Tom right now, or John and Francis a year and a half ago?
Francis.
That's the one.
Yeah, that was the one, bro. I was even thinking that like Francis has a role to play in why the heavyweight division's still so weird right now. Like Dana's still trying to hold out against Francis in some sort of way, because if he lets Aspinall just become the next guy, then I don't know. It's weird, but
what's a Francis versus Tom Aspinall fight look like right now?
That would be so big.
Yeah.
It just sucks that Francis is already kind of in the back end age-wise.
Bro, we could really have legit 3 big time, like, those were any way you spin those 3, those are 2 big time fights. Like, you do Tom and Francis or Tom and John, winner fights the other. Like, those are 2 big time heavyweight fights.
And that's what sucks, because right now heavyweight's considered the worst division in the UFC, just because there's not that deep of a elite talent pool. But we have 3 guys that just won't fight each other, that the whole world would be dying to see those guys fight, like you just said. It's tough, because it's not very often where, you're not going to get guys like John, Francis, and Aspinall very often, all in the time where they could fight each other.
Yeah.
You think there's a 0% chance Francis fights in the UFC again?
Yeah, 0. So Tom's still the interim heavyweight champion?
Yeah. At this point, he has to wait and just fight the winner of John and Stipe.
Yeah. At this point, if you're Tom, my next fight has to be for undisputed. You can't just keep defending interim titles.
Yeah. And 95% chance he's the backup fighter for John Stipe. And there's not a low percentage chance that one of those guys pulls out.
Does any one of those, I think if John drops out, Stipe does it. If Stipe drops out, does John do the Aspinall fight?
I feel like he would have to if Aspinall's the backup. Like, you got to fight the backup fighter, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're the champ, though. I don't know. If you're the guy fighting for the belt and the champion drops out and they're like, hey, we're going to give you a backup fighter for an interim status, you have to take it. But I think if you're the champion and the person that wants to come get my belt drops out for whatever reason, like, fuck that. I don't have to fight.
That's true. People forget UFC 151, the only card that ever got canceled was because the UFC, on 8 days' notice, they changed the opponent to Chael Sonnen to fight John Jones, and his team said no on 8 days' notice to fight Chael. And that's weird looking back on it, because they ended up fighting and John just destroyed Chael in like the beginning of the second. So, I mean, if John in his prime was willing to pull out of a fight on 8 days' notice, I wouldn't put it past him to do it on, a day's notice if he gets an opponent.
Because, I mean, from the UFC's perspective, let's say they main event John Stipe drops out. They want to do Tom and John. I think you'd rather have the build up for that fight anyway.
True, like be able to promote it fully.
Yeah, so you just be like, hey, Stipe's done. Thank you for all you did. We tried. Stipe's going to retire. We'll do John and Tom the next pay-per-view event we have.
Get Danny.
But you're also risking on the main event. Of time for John Jones. So it's hard. But I don't think that's a fight that deserves a short notice type fight. That fight needs a build-up.
100%. That's very true. That would kind of... It was almost like Volk Islam too. How we got robbed of that whole build-up because Volk stepped in on short notice, because everyone was already looking forward to that fight regardless of if Volk...
And I think that was different than this would be, because they've already fought once and it was like, damn, they're fighting again. It was such a close fight. Like, maybe they're going to be close again. But these 2 fighters, like, they don't know each other. And we know how calculated John is. And, like, this would be legit one of the biggest fights of all time. So it needs a build-up.
That's true, because John talks about it. He's a huge film guy, so he would definitely... I'm sure he's watching film on Aspinall currently, and he has a game plan, somewhat of a game plan put together for him, but he would 100% want to be able to train that and drill those situations and stuff like that. Hard to find a guy like Tom Aspinall, though, to spar against.
Yeah.
Maybe you just go to an NFL training camp and see if one of the linebackers is down or something. Or
call JJ Watt.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Aspinall's really like DN size, huh? Or like
He's an elite athlete.
I think he could have been in the NFL, like a tight end, like Gronkowski type shit.
Yeah.
He's a guy. How about not even Patty the Bad. He was Patty the Baddie this weekend. Electric walkout song. I'll say that. Best walkout song of the night for sure. Looked really good against Bobby Green. Or was it Bobby looking bad? What was your opinion on that one?
I don't know. I mean, fuck. I thought it was more Bobby just low fight IQ.
Terrible. Sorry. I was opening a brew right there, but yeah, but it kind of tells me at the same time that Bobby wasn't liking it on the feet. And if Bobby wasn't liking it on the feet, then he didn't really have that much of a chance in general. Like maybe Patty outstrikes him in a 3-round decision if Bobby did, play the stand-up game. But Patty was looking like he had the upper hand the whole time. He looked a lot bigger than him too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely a big win for Patty. I don't like how they're viewing him now because I still view Patty the same as how I viewed him before this fight. Because I don't think Bobby Green is I think Bobby Green's a good fighter, but I don't think he's the way they who they told me Patty was, he should have beat Bobby Green anyway.
Yeah. It shouldn't have been as close of odds as it was, I guess.
And you shouldn't have went to a decision with Jared Gordon.
That's the one that really took everyone off the train. I think all of Patty's other performances have been fine. Like nothing really derailed him besides that Jared Gordon one. That was just brutal. But I will say, Patty he's a top level jiu-jitsu guy in the UFC. Crazy, bro. The stuff he does, his transitions and just his fluidity, he is very elite. You can just tell that he's comfortable down there. Like he switched I think he broke his arm and put him to sleep.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. And Patty did also get a number by his name, ranked 15. I don't really disagree with that. Would you say he's in that tier?
That's bro, literally there's a lot I wanted to come on here and talk to you about, but the number one thing in my head I wanted to ask you because you always have an answer for me and I'm excited to ask you is who is Patty fight next?
I mean, Money Moicano. That's one that gets my juices. That's one that gets my juices flowing. I need to check if Moicano has
what you want or what's your prediction?
If they were to fight?
No, that's what you want the fight to happen, or what fight do you think is gonna happen?
I think it's either Moicano or Beneil.
Whoa, Beneil?
Why not? He's a guy at the rankings where if Patty beats a guy with that number, it's going to move him up. But he's probably where he is right now, coming off of these losses, I think 2 knockouts in a row. It's probably the lowest point you could fight Beneil at. But if Patty gets that win on his name or on his resume, that's a really good win regardless. So I could see the UFC going that direction, or him versus Moicano. That could co-main a pay-per-view, and they would build up the shit out of that. That would be one of the best press conference. That would be an all-time press conference. Patty and Moicano.
Yeah.
Let's see based off the rank. I'm trying to see if Moicano has a fight booked right now. I feel like he had one, but then it got canceled. Yeah, I don't see anything right now. So Moicano versus Patty or Beneil versus Patty. Those are my 2 picks.
I like that. That's a big step.
Yeah.
I mean, he's ranked now, so it's not,
especially at being ranked at lightweight's a lot different from being ranked at heavyweight. If you're ranked at lightweight, you're going to fight an absolute killer no matter what. Probably a pretty well-known guy too. But if you're ranked at heavyweight, you could still get away with a pretty good matchup.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Muhammad Mukayev.
Oh yeah. So did you think he lost that fight when we were watching live?
I don't think he lost it. I don't think he won it.
That's a fact. I guess it's one of those where you can't be mad either way, like you always say.
Yeah, so I mean, do you want to talk the fight first or him not being re-signed first?
I say we go the chronological order, so we'll go the fight first and then not being re-signed.
Okay. I mean, I think he fought his fight. That's how he fights. That's how I expected the fight to go. I don't think he was less boring or less exciting than he normally is. That was his fight. It's who we knew he was and who he is.
Yeah. I think if Manel Kopp didn't break his toe in the beginning of the second round, he would have won that fight very easily. Because remember at the end of the first, he had him in hell in the last 10 seconds up on the cage. He was just teeing off on Mokaev up until the horn. So, dude, I just don't know where the judges gave Mokaev those 2 rounds. Maybe the second and third, but I don't know. I thought I had Manel Kopp winning that fight, and they're pretty opposite fighters in terms of their style. Kopp's about as entertaining as it gets, just a firecracker. Never know what you're gonna expect with the guy. Pretty funny, entertaining fights. Likes to stand and swing and bang, and then Mokaev just does the complete opposite. And it was funny because he was kind of trying to keep it on the feet in the first round, but as soon as he got clipped once, his instincts just went immediately. He just laid on the ground and tried to grab his ankles, and I was like, that's his true colors right there.
Yeah.
But so then right after the fight, Dana White in the presser, maybe the grouchiest Dana White I've seen in a while. He's been a pretty happy guy lately since he got skinnier and got his health up.
He was not in a good mood.
He was not in a good mood. Dude, he was acting like the whole card sucked. But I mean, I feel like the card wasn't terrible besides the main event.
We had a first round knockout in a title fight.
Yeah, and then Patty got a first round submission.
Yeah.
So it wasn't awful. But it wasn't crazy by any means. But Dana was saying he was treating it like it was a Canada card. He was sick. But he said, I don't have the quote. I wish he did. It was one of those funny Dana one-liners. But he said, PFL is going to get a really good. They asked him a question. The reporter asked Dana a question about Muhammad Mokaev. His contract's up. That's kind of been news during the fight week. And then after they said, do you plan on re-signing Mokaev? And Dana said, PFL is going to get a great undefeated young fighter.
We've never seen him like blatantly like come out and say something like that.
Yeah.
So at first everybody was like, it's because he was boring, whatever. But then other stuff came out where they said he was already negotiating with the PFL. He's been difficult. That's why he said PFL.
Yeah, look at you getting the truth.
I think that's the true story. Because you wouldn't just say he's going to PFL if you didn't really know that.
That one adds up perfectly, dude. When I saw the tweet and the screenshots combined with what Dana said, usually you can't really buy into those rumors too much. But that was one where you could put 2 and 2 together pretty easily. Damn, I thought I was gonna get to break that to you, but you were on it already.
I was, bro, because you know Mokaev's my guy. So I was looking at it like, what the fuck happened? And then I saw it. I pulled a U. I was researching. I did some deep dives, and I was locked in on that one.
Typing in the keywords on Twitter and shit.
Yeah, because I saw the screenshots, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, dude. So pretty much the details of it, Mokaev. He went and tried to get a number from the PFL before these contract negotiations so he could go to the UFC and be like, well, if I don't. So he basically knew what his mark was, where if he didn't get that, he would walk. Or maybe he would take a little bit less from the UFC. But the UFC caught wind of that. So they just cut it all off right there and said, you're done. We're not re-signing your ass.
Yeah. I understand all of that. And you throw on top of the fact that he doesn't have exciting fights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it's a guy like Diego Lopez doing that, maybe you try to work with him a little bit and you scratch his back. But for a guy like Mokaev, you got to know that you can't be in a position to be doing that. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins that $1 million tournament 7 times though in the PFL.
You think he's the best fighter in the PFL day one?
Yeah.
They said it's not even a flyweight division in PFL.
Oh, so he's going to be at 135, huh?
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, unless unless he really wants to make a big fight, the best opportunity for Mokaev would be if he signs with one and gets a Mighty Mouse fight. But I don't think he wants that smoke one bit.
He's not that big of a fighter yet, bro.
But I mean, in terms of like outside the UFC, he's got to be top 10 already.
Yeah, I guess. It's weird, bro. When is the last time a ranked fighter like this just left? I mean, how many fights away? So let's say none of this stuff happens and he wins. We're on here talking, and we're like, what is our conversation about how many fights away he is from the title shot?
Probably with the way his fights go, like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But realistically, if he were to go and get a crazy finish and have a sick fight, he could get the title shot next. We saw with Steve Erceg. Yeah. Tatsuro Taira's probably getting the next one versus Pantoja. So
no, Tatsuro Taira's versus Brandon Royval, I think.
Oh, really?
I think they announced that. Yeah,
I like that.
Look that up real quick. I think I heard that.
Yeah, hello Tatsuro Taira. That's sick that we got to see him live in like his first or second UFC fight, and he's gonna be a guy. Let's see.
Brandon Royval, Tatsuro Taira, October 12th, UFC Fight Night main event.
Hello. Taira's a perfect Fight Night main event guy right now.
Yeah.
Perfect. Because I'm sure he drives up the numbers a lot because he probably gets a lot of people from Japan tuning in.
Yeah.
I want to see the guy that the UFC signed from Ryzen, Kai Kasura. So he was at bantamweight in Ryzen, but they said he's going to fight at flyweight in the UFC. So I'm interested to see who they give him in his first matchup. They said probably someone ranked.
Yeah.
How about some fights that we know got announced? Was it the day before UFC 304 when we finally got the confirmation of the Spear UFC 306?
Big one. Huge one.
And there's no one else we'd rather be headlining it. Maybe Max and Ilya, but we've got our guy.
Even if I'd rather have Max and Ilya on the card, I want Sugar Show headlining it.
That's true. I'm trying to get the full card here. You see they put Zellhuber on UFC 306 too?
Yeah.
I had that one from a ways out.
Is Yasmin on there?
Yasmin's been on it for a minute, yeah.
Yeah, Yasmin's like that.
UFC 306 main card as we speak right now on August 1st. Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili for the bantamweight title. Co-main event, the rematch is it the trilogy between Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko?
Yeah, trilogy.
Yeah, Grasso subbed her in the first fight. They drew in the second. A lot of people thought Valentina won, so that's a good one. No one's sad about that. And then the third fight, that feature bout of the night, Brian T. City Ortega versus Diego Lopez on a full camp. None of that short notice stuff. Let's see it. Hopefully it actually happens. And then fourth fight of the main card, we've got Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Keelan Aori. My opinion, they're just trying to give Raul a guy where he can go into the mic and say Chivivis after. And then opening up the main card, Irene Aldana. I believe it's her first fight since her loss against Amanda Nunes on that terrible Canada card, taking on Norma Dumont. So did you expect more for this Fear UFC 306 with the Saudi money behind it for the main card?
No. I mean, I like it. I don't know how much more I can expect. Maybe I would have liked to see Max and Ilya on the card, but as far as the card is, I like the card.
I wouldn't have minded Raul opening up the main card and then having one more big fight in that fourth spot instead of Dumont Aldana opening up the main card and then having Raul on the fourth.
Yeah.
And then Yasmin Harigi taking on Caitlin Souza on the prelims. Daniel Zellhuber.
We're always backing Yasmin over here.
Yup, always. And then my guy Daniel Zellhuber, your guy too. You had the scout on him before the fight, taking on Esteban Rivas. That's a good one right there.
I've bet on him before too.
Yeah, I remember seeing him on Dimes Bets.
Yeah,
that's I'm getting chills already, bro. I wish I was rich so I could go to that thing, but the cheapest tickets are $3,000.
Yeah.
That's just not a good investment, dude. I mean, I guess it
Bro,
is a once in a lifetime thing.
how is it going to look realistically?
I don't see how it could look like. I get, yes, it's going to be crazy, but it's not like you can be doing crazy stuff during the fights. Like, it's not like a concert.
I think he looks at it as a concert.
Yeah. One thing I liked, I heard someone ask Sugar the question that we were kind of there that I've been worried about with the lights and distractions. And Sugar said, when I'm in there, I'm so locked in. I will not get distracted by anything. So it's good to hear that he's already thought about that too. That made me feel a little safer.
Yeah.
Shit. Now we head over to one of our favorite spots in the world lately, at least as UFC speaks. Abu Dhabi. Ah, la 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 la. Great fight here as the main event. And we got pictures. Cory Sandhagen taking on the undefeated Dagestani cousin of Khabib, Umar Nurmagomedov, in a title eliminator, confirmed by Dana White. Umar opening up as a minus 350 favorite here. Sandhagen plus 265. I can tell you what I'm doing, but how do you feel about this one right here?
Not only am I betting Sandman for the number, I think Sandman wins this fight, even if it was a pick'em.
Literally, bro. Literally. I thought it was a pick'em until I looked at the odds. And my face just lit up.
Sandman here.
I wonder if Vegas is thinking a Dagestani in Abu Dhabi able to do the IVs and the steroids and all that other cheesy stuff they do. Maybe they're giving him a little advantage for that. But
yeah,
bro, I mean, Umar did not look great in his last fight, on the feet at least, against a guy that was on short notice making his UFC debut. I don't get this line, man. Usually I'm not off by more than 100 or 200. But I would have thought this was even money. Maybe Cory minus 120.
No, I think Umar's the favorite. I would have Umar about minus 170, maybe 200 the most. But yeah, for this number, I'm all over Cory, and I think Cory wins.
Dude, we haven't even seen Umar go 5 rounds yet.
I know.
And he was tired. I heard Cheeto saying in his interview for this week, for the fight week, he was saying that it was just shocking how tired Umar was after a 3-rounder versus a newcomer where he was kind of dominating a lot of the grappling exchanges. Dude, imagine Cory Sandhagen in there putting the crazy pace on you that he does.
Yeah.
Dude, either way, this sets up a mega title fight as long as Sugar wins against Merab. Either of these guys fighting Sugar, if you get Sugar versus a Nurmagomedov like against that Team Khabib, that's just crazy right there. Sugar's talked about that for years, just wanting to fight a Dagestani and do what Conor couldn't. And then obviously it's not Khabib, but then Sugar versus Cory, it's been the fight that every fan's been talking about for the last few years. Just the two guys that have the freakish builds at bantamweight. What? So you got to just take Cory money line here, right? Not mess around with anything else.
Yeah, you don't mess with the method at all. You just take Cory to win. That's enough juice.
And one thing I noticed, the first 3 or the top 3 fights of this card, the fighters are all wearing the same color shorts. Co-main event. It was supposed to be Nate Diaz versus Vicente Luque, but
that kind of fell under the radar of getting dropped, huh?
Yeah. I think it's because everyone kind of knew he was going to get dropped.
Yeah.
Bro, Nick, they said due to travel issues. I guarantee you Nick was like, wait, I can't smoke over there?
Yeah.
Why sign the contract? They could have told you that in the beginning and saved everyone a lot of time and marketing and money. But anyway, I'm not bummed about this one. Shara Bullet Magomedov taking on Michael Olek, as we like to call him. What do you got here? I love that Shar is taking this on short notice too. Just won a few weeks ago on a fight night.
I kind of like Olek. Again, for the number.
Bro, Shar is one of those guys. I think I said it before his last fight, and I looked foolish because of it. But, like, I'm just going to fade him till he proves it to me.
Yeah.
And yes, He looked amazing in his last fight, and he won by knockout. But people forget he almost got dragged to the ground. But he had the craziest cage grab of 2024, probably just the most blatant one. Stayed on his feet. Obviously, the fight gets reset on the feet. He clips the guy and then knocks him out in that same sequence, probably 45 seconds later. So I'm not counting that last win as the fraud check for Shara Bullet here. This is my fraud check right here, and I've got to take Michael at plus 200 or plus 230.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Any methods here that you like?
Nah, I don't.
Yeah.
Plus 210's enough for me.
That's a method.
Yeah.
This next, bro, what a card, man. What a card. See?
I'm curious. What do you like here?
I've got to go Figgy, dude.
Really? I'm all over Cheeto.
Yeah? Bro, how crazy is it, though, that Cheeto is fighting before Suga after their last fight? With the damage he took, he's fighting 6 months later.
I'm all over Cheeto here, bro.
I don't know, man. I said it right on our UFC 299 recap. I said in Cheeto's next fight, I have to bet on him to get knocked out. Not because of who he's fighting, just because of what Suga did to him.
Does Figgy knock him out?
It's not a guy that I would predict to knock out Cheeto. If any, like, dude, imagine Cheeto's whole career goes without ever getting dropped, and then Figgy's the one to do it. The guy that came up from flyweight. I mean, I think Figgy could crack still, though. I think he has a chance. So I've got to lay down a little bit on Figgy KO/TKO for plus 1,500. I've got to. What's your reasoning for being all over Cheeto here?
He's younger. I personally think he's better. I think it goes to decision. So I think if it goes to decision, I think I'll just take my chances with Cheeto here. I don't think Figgy can finish him. I think Cheeto's more likely to go the distance here, and be successful in the distance. So I'm all over Cheeto.
I just don't remember the last time that Cheeto out-skilled someone. It was always just with his toughness. Like he would be getting beat a little. Maybe Rob Font. That fight, the last one where he really beat him. Like he's just had so many fights where he was getting beat and then landed that one shot. Like even Frankie Edgar, bro. During that fight, I remember I bet on Frankie Edgar, and I was like, bro, Frankie's piecing. Like he wasn't piecing up Cheeto, but he was definitely winning the fight. And then Cheeto lands the front kick, knockout, KOs him. And I think Figgy's too good to get caught with something like that. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be as dominant as the Suga or the Cory performance, obviously, but I could see Figgy just kind of outskilling him almost.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I texted you something crazy here this morning. I texted you. It was when I was watching the Tony press conference, to be fair. Every single press conference Tony Ferguson does, he tells me that he's back, that he's going to win his next fight. And here we go. We've got Tony Ferguson taking on Michael Chiesa here. Ferguson on the 7-fight losing streak. Hurts to say. But, I mean, Chiesa hasn't won since 2021. So I think this is a better matchup. The UFC, they've been giving Tony some killers.
Have they?
Not too many. Even on the losing streak.
Who do you want him to have?
Who
do you want him to have?
Oh, someone just on the bottom, a day.
Bro, it's crazy. His winning streak was so long that even with the losing streak, he's still 26-10.
Dude, I know. Still a really good record. Bro, it's just sad. I was watching old Tony highlights today too, man. He was special. He was truly just special. It's the only word I could use to describe it. Just the way he would mix it up, the violence, the elbows, the crazy submissions. Chiesa has been caught in a Darce choke more than once lately. Everyone knows Tony's got the Darce. What's your bet here? I'll throw no bet. You want to go Chiesa by points at plus 130?
I had to, I guess, yeah, but I don't like either of these dudes to win a fight.
Maybe over 2.5 rounds. I would say that feels like a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
But they could both submissions, I guess, too.
Yeah.
And then to close it off, woof, woof, woof. Mackenzie Dern, baby, taking on Lupi Godinez. I love Mackenzie Dern. I'm betting on her.
I'm going loopy here.
All right, gotta stay loyal to the Mexicanos.
Yep.
Bro, Mackenzie's just so different, man. In that UFC 298, when we were there in person too, they had the fight of the night. Her and Amanda Lemos, just a crazy ass fight. So I already loved Mackenzie before that, like just as a beautiful woman. But now I love her as a fighter as well. So she's just great, man. Mackenzie's gonna win this one.
Yeah. I respect your reasonings.
And I would have to go Mackenzie by sub. Only plus 250 isn't really juicy at all, though. Is the only thing.
Yeah.
Means Vegas thinks it could happen too. But
yeah.
Anyway, wow, 51 minutes, just like that.
Special.
A lot of special, just like Prime Tony. A lot of.
What do you do? What do you do Saturday? Possibility for a live show Saturday?
Ooh, Saturday. Yeah, I could be down middle of the day, right? It's an early one.
Yeah, it starts at 9 a.m.
Hop on for the main card this time.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know. It's in the works though.
Yeah, it's in the works.
All right
then. Appreciate y'all. Oh, also next week, stay tuned for our champs a year from now and the results from last year's champs a year from now. It's gonna be brutal for both of us. And if you want to add an entry to it, just DM us a picture or text us your list of who you think it's going to be next year. And the winner might get a little something.
We'll give you some merch.
Yeah. You got to pay for shipping though. All right. Later, y'all.